Hi, welcome to the Time for Tea Designs YouTube channel. It's Vic here today and I'm going to be showing you how I created this shaker card. I have an A6 card base and then I've gone ahead and cut two pieces of white card that fit nicely on the card base, and then I'm going to be using this stripes cover plate die. So I'm just using this on one of the pieces of card. So I'm just going to quickly run that through my die cutting machine. And I love using this die. I think it's perfect for shaker cards. So now I've just got some distress ink and a beautiful blender brush, and I'm going to go ahead and apply this colour all on top of the white piece of card. And if you don't have a blender brush yet, I'd highly recommend getting one because it made it so easy just to blend the colours onto this piece of card. So once that first layer is put down, I'm then going to go in and use speckled egg, and I'm actually going to apply this onto the die cut piece. So I always use a little bit of card just to stop my fingers from smudging and just messing up the design. So again, I'm using a blender brush for this. And then I'm also going to be using one of my favourite stamp sets, which is the wood grain clear stamp. So when I use this stamp, I literally just peel back the cover. I don't apply the stamp to any cling mount or anything like that. So I'm just inking up the stamp, and then I have a piece of scrap paper just to take off most of that dark brown ink. And then I've applied the die cut piece over the top, and it just gives a much lighter impression. And now I'm just moving on to the shaker part. So I've got some clear acetate and I'm just using some PVA glue that I'm applying to the back of the die cut. And then I'm just going to use my scissors and just quickly trim round the edges of the acetate. And then you will also need some foam tape or foam pads. So I'm just trimming some foam tape down just into little strips, and then I'm going to apply this to the edges of that die cut piece. So this is sometimes easier said than done. I feel like I'm doing surgery when I do my shaker cards because I end up just cutting pieces too big or too small, but you basically want all the edges of the foam tape to stick together. If they're not together, your sequins are going to go everywhere. So you definitely need to make sure that the foam tape is touching each strip. And now I'm moving on to the fun part, which is adding the sequins. So I've got some Dovecraft sequins here, and I'm just applying them onto that pink panel that I've ink blended. And then I'm removing the backer pieces of the foam tape and then applying this over the top. I'm just securing that down and just making sure that everything is fine and there's no sequins pinging out. And then I've got some double-sided tape, so I'm just adhering this to my card base, and then I can adhere my shaker panel on top of that. And now I'm just moving on to my stamps, which again, these are one of my favourites. This is the Baked with Love stamp set. So I've got some Copic friendly paper, and I always use Memento Tuxedo black ink. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp out the critters that I want for my card. And then I'm also going to be stamping out some cheese that comes with the stamp set, and there's also a little whisk that I'm going to use too. You can't make a mouse card without adding cheese, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp out the rest of the images, and then I'm going to move on to my colouring. I've got some Copic markers, so I'm using E43, E41 and E40 for some of the mice. So I'm just going to quickly show you how I coloured these ones in. So I've started with the shading, so that's the darkest colour, and then I'm moving on to the middle colour, and then I will go in and blend it all together with the lightest colour. And then for their ears and cheeks I've used R20. And you can use any markers or watercolours that you have, don't have to use Copic markers. So once my colouring's done, I've then got my white jelly roll pen, and I'm just adding some little dots to his cheeks. He looks so cute, he just makes me smile, that mouse. And now for my second mice, I've got N3 and N1, so these are like a darker grey. and I'm colouring them exactly the same. I'm doing my shading first, then going in with my middle colour, and then I'll blend everything together with the lightest colour. And then I'll go ahead and add that white Jelly Roll pen to his cheeks just to give him some highlights. And then the last part of the colouring I'm going to quickly show you is just the cheese. So I've got yellow 32, yellow 35 and yellow red 23. So the yellow red 23 is a lot darker, so I'm going to add that to the little holes in the cheese. And then I'm just adding a little bit more, and just to add some texture. And now I've got the coordinating dies, so I'm just going to pop these onto the stamped images, and then I'm going to run them through my die cutting machine. This one here holds the whisk or cheese, whichever you want it to hold. I love that. I think it's so fun to use. So now I'm just roughly placing my images where I want them. And then for my sentiment, I'm going to be using the Be Kind, Be You stamp set. And I've used the Hugs Enclosed. So I'm just going to quickly go ahead and stamp this out. And I've gone ahead and used a pink pigment ink for this because I thought it would blend in quite well with that pink background that we ink blended. And then I have the coordinating dies, but these dies are really good because you can use them for other stamps other than what's in there. There's lots of banners and squares and rectangles, so they're really handy to use. And then for the hugs, I've just got a light grey Copic marker. So I'm just going to quickly colour that in, and then I will adhere that down onto my card. So now our sentiment's done and the images are all coloured and been die cut out. I'm just using some foam pads to adhere these mice onto the card. I love how they come out. They would make anyone smile. So I think this is a perfect card to send to people, especially in this time. So here you can see how the shaker card works, and you can see all the mice and the cheese. And I'm just really happy with how this turned out. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye.